Greetings all, and welcome back to Math in Anger. This is episode 16, and in this episode, we're going to look at multiplication and division the understandable way. Yes, the understandable way, not the way it is shoved down your throat in your early years of school. But before we can discuss this, we need to fix some of the words. We need to fix the terminology that is used here. Um, yeah, unfortunately, you all know that guy at the gym. It's huge muscles and oiled, and he walks in and he just, the show off. The guy that, he's not very respectful and all that kind of thing. He's not really interested in helping anybody. That guy. Unfortunately, the same kind of thing happens in everything, including mathematics. And that's where this kind of terminology comes from. It comes from people who wants to show off rather than help others. So, uh, what I want you to realize is that um, those words. Look, if you want to, go ahead and learn what they mean and where they come from and all that kind of stuff. But it's in the real world, it's actually basically just that. Yeah, that's all it is. There are far simpler ways to explain this and to help people understand what it is that is happening here. So I'm going to ask you to take those words and put them where they belong, the trash can. There are far easier ways to do this. So there you go, into the trash can with you. We'll deal with you later. I'm going to use these words for you, and you're going to see why. All right? Take a look at what you've got here. Is your repeater. What do you think I mean with the word repeater? Right? That's going to be how many times your additive appears, right? In other words, how many times is your additive going to appear in your adding, right? So, how many times your additive repeats? And then your additive, what is that? That's the thing that should be added together, isn't it? So, yeah, there you go. What should be added to itself, right? And the product, of course, is going to be the result of having added all of that together. So there you go. Isn't that a bit simpler? Isn't that easier to understand? And it works for both multiplication and division. So I'm going to make this even simpler for you. Let me just move this over here and give me a moment to go and fetch this. There is a way to understand this that makes your life a lot easier. Do that. Now take a look at this. If you go and take your additive and you add it to itself as many times as the repeater tells you to repeat it, then you get your product. Right? So here's what happens. So take a look at that. Your additive appears twice. So 3 plus 3, what is that? That's your product, right? And your additive appears twice. And again, you can do the same thing with your repeater. If you take your repeater and you add it to itself, before you get something greater than your product, then you get your additive. If you take your additive and you add it to itself to a point before you get something greater than your product, then you get your repeater. Isn't this easier to understand? Doesn't this make a lot more sense? Because take a look at this. 3. How many times can I add 3 to itself before I get something greater than 6? I can add it twice. Here as well, how many times can I add 3 to itself before I get something greater than 6? Twice. Isn't that easier to understand? And the joke is, when you study physics rather than mathematics, you learn about this triangle, so it's completely valid. I do not understand why this is not included in mathematical studies. I don't get it. Right? Make a screenshot of this. Stick it to your wall. You're going to be referring to it. And I'll be, in our discussions on multiplication, I will have it over here with everything neatly laid out so that you can refer back to it while you're watching the videos. And then there is just one other thing I need to ask you guys. Please, pretty please, with a bright red cherry on top, don't get preoccupied with those people at the gym that want to flex. It's unnecessary. Be patient with yourself, and you will realize you do better than they do anyway. Okay. Right. This was Math in Anger, episode 16. I will see you in the next one. Ciao.